Well, hello, and welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I'll be your host for this evening, and my name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about there are no survivors. And specifically, I'm talking about the CIA mind control projects of the last couple of decades, and how even if your body survived, you didn't. The person that you were meant to be, that nature intended you to be, is gone, has been murdered. Who you hoped you would be, that person is also dead, murdered. Because the CIA does these things to us because our masters really, honestly, hate us. And they fear us, and they need us. Our masters are, after all, just parasites. And the parasite, in this particular case, hates the host, which is you and me. Because without us, our master would simply die. They don't know how to do anything for themselves. As I said before, they've never even made a pot of coffee. They've never boiled an egg. They've never stood in line at the bank. They've never run out of money at the ATM. They've never done anything real. Nothing. And the only power our masters have over us is the power that we give them. And so when they, our masters, destroy us, rape us, kill us, torture us, sacrifice us, it means nothing to them. So hurting us to the masters is like having ice cream and cake for dessert for you and me. Our masters love our pain. They feed on it. They have an orgy of ecstasy, as it were. You and I have coffee and cake, we have sex, we enjoy life, we laugh, we talk. Our masters hate. And so the various CIA mind control projects, of which I am yet not another survivor, destroyed who we would have been as people. That's how our masters feel about us. And so tonight, I thought we would chat about the Declaration of Independence. And again, I have to apologize to you. I very arrogantly thought, way back when I started this new series of shows, that I'd have big-time corporate sponsors or advertisers to pay my salary and hire a real producer and a real engineer and produce these things in a sound stage and have guests on every episode, and even be able to do a call-in show, a talk show. People can actually call in. That was terribly arrogant and stupid of me, and so in my stupidity, I dated each show. So today's show is dated April 23rd, 2011. Well, in reality, today is actually July 3rd, 2011. So I'm about a month and a half behind, and it's all due to, of course, to the lack of money. I do have my first corporate sponsor, whom I refer to as my beautiful guardian angel in the great state of Wisconsin. And her contribution to the show is keeping me alive. She gives me enough money to feed myself and to have a place to live and access to the internet. And I will never forget that, ever. She will know everything I know about the technology that I have collected in the last 40 years for the village, because she cared enough out of the 50,000 plus listeners we have today, I have today. She's the only one who did anything real. So she'll know everything that I know. And I'm sorry about that, because a lot of what I know is simply sad. But she'll have the technology that she needs for whomever she wants to survive in the United States. So today is actually July 3rd, 2011, and quite naturally enough, tomorrow will be July 4th, 2011, what we in the United States call the 4th of July, Independence Day. So I thought it was a real good time to review the Declaration of Independence. Now, the last time I did this on my TV show, trying to read the Declaration of Independence on camera, I had to spend 2 weeks rehearsing Because every time I would read the Declaration of Independence, I would start to cry. And it's a real hard document to read, because you look at what our founding fathers, who were Masons, who were magicians, who, from reading this document, I would bet money, practiced white magic. Magic that was wholesome and healthy and life-affirming. And I read this document, and then I compare what our founding fathers, those white magicians 200 years ago, had in mind for our country. And it just breaks my heart. It's heartbreaking, literally, to read what our fathers and our mothers had in mind for us and what we have done with their dream. We have failed to do anything. We've failed to protect our country. We've failed to protect ourselves. We've failed to protect our neighbors. We've failed to protect our children. We've failed because we're stupid. There's no other way of saying it. We're morons. The best and the brightest of the human race, after 2.5 billion years in the cradle of our mother, the earth, have left. They might come back once in a while, but they left their younger brothers and sisters, you and me, behind. Why? Because we're stupid. We're stupid when we give away our rights. We're stupid when we stand by and let our masters, a small handful of creatures, destroy us, our country, our world, our future. We're stupid. There's no kind way of saying it. We're stupid, at least in the West. From what I know of the East, China, Russia, did you know that Russia has plans that in the event of a disaster, doesn't matter what it is, the Earth flipping end for end, the next ice age, nuclear war, the Russian government actually has preparations in place to save all of their population. Plus, if you happen to be a foreigner in Russia and something bad happens, they'll take you in too. The Russian government, the Russian people, hold the oldest human traditions very close. The oldest human traditions include when you are a guest in their home, your safety is their concern. So if you happen to be in Russia at the time when the earth flips, you'll be okay, because the Russian people will embrace you and take you into their shelters. Probably the same for China, although I don't know much about China. I do know about Russia. I also know that in the United States of America, there are no preparations in place to save the population of the United States. Whether you're an American citizen or not, the U.S. government doesn't care. They've actually done, under British Admiralty law, which is what U.S. commercial law, what we think of as law in the United States, they've actually followed the satanic requirement that you must get permission from your victim. And so whenever they do these horrifying things, they publish, usually in the New York Times, usually on page 3, usually it's only like a column-inch long, you'll find, with a little research, that, oh, by the way, in the event of a disaster, FEMA will not be there to help you. Oh, by the way, in the event of a disaster and you're caught hoarding food because FEMA's not going to be there to help you, you're going to go to prison because they don't want you to survive. So yes, this is a heartbreaking document to read. But in order to get through this, we have to figure out a way of doing this, and I don't really have a good way of getting through the Declaration of Independence without breaking down in tears. So we're going to have to figure something out. So I'm thinking to myself, this is written in the English language that's 200 years old. And 100 years ago, our masters decided to stop educating us. Our masters decided 100 years ago that the United States did not need dreamers or thinkers or doers or philosophers. They needed working units. They needed corporate assets that could be mixed and matched. They needed assets. They needed resources. They needed human resources. And so the science of human resources was created, not for the benefit of us, But so the individual corporations who worked together behind the scenes would have assets they could call upon. So education was not important. So here we have a document written 200 years ago in Old English, proper English. 100 years ago in this country, we had farmers out in the middle of nowhere who had the equivalent today of a PhD. We were an amazingly highly educated people 100 years ago. 100 years ago, a farmer, by the name of Farlow T. Farnsworth, a farmer out in the middle of nowhere, all by himself, created television. I mean, that's amazing. Today, I couldn't even change the oil in my car before I left the States. I mean, I used to work on cars. The cars had become so complicated, I couldn't figure out how to change the spark plugs. And yet 100 years ago, farmers out in Ottumwa, Iowa, had the equivalent education of a PhD today. One guy created television. Overseas, a guy created radio. I mean, we could go on forever about the explosion of genius on this planet 100 years ago, which is the same time our masters decided to wipe out any kind of intelligence and not educate us. So our problem now with the Declaration of Independence is, how do we read the thing and understand it? My problem is, how do I read the thing without breaking down in tears to see the death of, well, white magic, because black magic is smarter than we are. So I'm thinking we could read it paragraph by paragraph and then deconstruct it. What does this mean in English today? So let's give it a shot. I'm guessing this will take 2 episodes because I don't think I have the strength, honest to God, to get through the whole thing in one go. But we're going to give it a try. So here it is, July 3rd. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day. Let's give it a try. The Unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. That's what it's really called. And it begins when, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Okay, so in modern English, what this is saying is, when in the course of human events, when in our particular case our masters have abused us, lied to us, cheated us, raped us, murdered us, sacrificed us, that's an event. When in the course of human events, you and I have lived through this, no matter how old you are now, you've seen it, and you know it's happening. If you haven't seen it, and you don't know it's happening, well, guess what? It's too late for you. Go back to sleep. The Declaration of Independence continues. When in the course of human events, news, it happened today, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another. Basically, what they're saying 200 years ago is the 13 original colonies of Britain, the 13 United States, the 13 United Nations of America, who were previously owned by Great Britain, and they've been abused by Great Britain, just as you and I today are abused by Washington, D.C. We are abused by the state capitals, the governors, the congressmen, the senators, the president, the IRS, the Federal Reserve, the Council of Foreign Affairs. We have been abused. And we need to tell the world that we will not take this anymore. And it goes on to say, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. What they were originally saying, those 13 colonies, those 13 nations, those 13 states of America, were saying, okay, we've been abused by Britain. We're tired of it, and here is why. This is what they've done to us. Today, you and I would say, our masters have robbed us, they have lied to us, they have cheated us, they have raped us, they have killed us, they have destroyed our economy, they have destroyed our jobs, they have destroyed our homes, they're destroying our earth. This is why we need to arrest them. This is why we need to put them on trial for their crimes, not just against us, but against the whole world. Don't harm them. Simply arrest them. Put them on trial. In a constitutional republic, this is a requirement. We were a constitutional republic. Under those laws, we need to put these creatures on trial and reveal to the rest of the world who and what they are and what they've done. The Declaration of Independence goes on. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That one's pretty easy. You and I are human beings. Whether we're cattle, whether we're thinking, reasoning creatures, we're still human beings. As citizens of this planet, we have the right to life. We have the right to make our own choices. We have the right to be happy. All life is sacred, basically. Don't step on an ant unless you intend to eat it. Don't go out shooting each other unless you expect to be shot in return. We have rights, and we have to remember that. We have to take them back. The Declaration of Independence continues that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, which means, in modern terms, when we vote and we put someone into office, that person works for us. Our rights, our liberty, our life, our freedom is the responsibility of these men and women that we put into office. They derive their power to rule us from us. We give them the right to govern us. By that same concept, when there are people in office, politicians in office, governors, senators, congressmen, presidents, and they abuse us, they threaten us, they steal from us, they lie to us, we have the right to remove them from office. Not with violence, but under the Constitution, we have the right, as citizens of a constitutional republic, to defend ourselves and our neighbors and our families from all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is our right as citizens in a constitutional republic. The Declaration of Independence goes on that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. We just covered it. When government goes bad, we have the right to remove it. Not with violence, but with strength. We outnumber our masters millions, hundreds of millions to one. We have the right, without violence, to arrest them. Under the Constitution of the United States, we, as citizens, have the right to do a citizen's arrest, to legally say to our masters and to their servants, I arrest you. And when the odds are 1,000,000 to 1, not a bad reason not to use violence. Simply come with us, we're putting you in jail. You're going on trial. And a trial of free people will decide. You might be completely innocent. Okay, you're free. The trillions and trillions of dollars we found in your bank account? Wow, could you explain where all that money came from? Oh, you stole it from us. Well, I guess you're guilty after all. You're going to jail, and you're going to stay there. No violence. Don't ever give them what they want, and they want violence. The Declaration of Independence continues. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes. Basically, that means, hey, you got a bone to pick with your president, he did something stupid? Hey, that's okay. We all make mistakes. But if the president lies, cheats, steals, goes to war over and over and over again with all kinds of people for no particular reason, yeah, it's time to arrest him. Something's wrong. It continues. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Basically, that means people are sheep. Human beings are cattle. You and I have chatted about this for, I think we're up to over 200 episodes now. Human beings tend to simply let things go. Oh, the president's gone to war now with Libya. Oh, the president has now gone to war with Pakistan. Did he ask anybody's approval? Well, he didn't ask me. Also, he didn't ask Congress, which under the Constitution is a requirement. But since old King George started declaring wars all by himself, we've sort of gotten away from that and we let it go. We're stupid. And the Declaration of Independence 200 years ago is saying, hey, people are cattle. We can't afford to be cattle anymore. The Declaration of Independence continues. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, devises a device to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Basically, this is just saying, when the government lies to us, robs us, rapes us, murders us, cheats us, declares war on the entire world for no reason, under the Constitution of the United States of America, the country, it's time to put them on trial. It's time to remove them from office without violence. Arrest them. Put them on trial. Let a trial decide. It's time for us to stand up, is what this means. We have to stop this. You and I have been on this planet for 2.5 billion years. The earth is our home. It's our mother. It's the cradle of human life. You and I, we need to grow up. the Declaration of Independence goes on. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. In modern English, our government is out of control. It's owned by a few people who hate us, who hate our lives, who hate our world, who hate all the life on it, by parasites, by creatures who've never made a cup of coffee in their life. They've never cooked an egg, they've never driven a car, they've never stood in line at Target and bought underwear. They don't know anything. They can't do anything except hate us. And it's time to stop. So in honor of the 4th of July, which is tomorrow, 2011, I think this is as far as we're going to get today on the Declaration of Independence, because I'm trying really hard not to cry. I think we can get through it this way, though. There was an ancient civilization gone long now in what is today Ireland. It was a very advanced society. Their story is that they traveled to the stars. I don't know, it's probably just a fairy tale, but it's a nice thought to have. We actually derive many of our laws today, the real laws, from their society. And there was a very ancient blessing they had, an ancient wish, an ancient hope for friends or beloved strangers. May you live as long as you wish. May you love as long as you live. For the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel fighting his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.